Ryan Poles just shook all of Chi-Town with a blockbuster trade that fixes the crisis in the middle of the offensive line, but there is more. A 5-time Pro Bowl left tackle could be coming in from Buffalo at a price that puts the entire cap space at risk. And the interior defensive line is basically stripped down with only 2 players on the roster, 3 moves that could decide whether the Bears get to the Super Bowl or sink before the season even starts. Do not move. Hit subscribe. This is on fire. First story, Garrett Bradbury. I cannot believe how fast Ryan Poles is moving pieces this offseason. Literally, in a matter of days, this person lost the starting center to retirement and already has a confirmed replacement coming straight from a team that just played in the Super Bowl. That, Chi-Town, is what you call top-tier offensive management, and here's what that tells you. When the general manager of your team reacts with that kind of speed and precision, it is because there is a clear plan in place to protect the most important player in the franchise, the quarterback, Caleb Williams. Let us get to the facts. According to ESPN, the Chicago Bears have finalized a trade with the New England Patriots to acquire center Garrett Bradbury. The price to bring Bradbury to the city was a 5th-round pick in the 2027 draft. That is it. A 2027 5th-rounder for a center who just finished protecting a second-year quarterback in the most important season the Patriots have had in years. So I am asking you, is that a fair price? I think it is, and I am going to tell you exactly why. Drew Dalman came to Chicago with big expectations after the Bears signed that player to be the anchor of the offensive line and the direct protector of Caleb Williams in the middle of the field. But Dalman made the decision to retire, and just like that, the center position was completely empty. That is a spot you cannot leave unattended when you have a rookie quarterback who needs protection and time to develop. In today's NFL, that is non-negotiable. Now let us talk about who Garrett Bradbury is and why this move is smarter than it looks at first glance. Bradbury was the 18th overall pick in the 2019 draft by the Minnesota Vikings. Interesting, right? Because this player already knows the NFC North. There have been games against the Packers, against the Lions, against the Bears themselves. There is already experience playing in the Chicago cold and understanding what every division matchup means in this conference. When it comes to leadership and experience on the offensive line, that is priceless. Bradbury spent 6 seasons with Minnesota before heading to New England last year, where that player signed a 2-year, $12 million contract. And listen closely, because here's the part that really fires me up about this move. Bradbury was a fundamental piece on the Patriots' offensive line that helped carry the team to Super Bowl 60 last season. That means this player knows what a real postseason run feels like, knows the pressure, knows how to prepare, and now that experience is coming to Chicago to protect Caleb Williams. But there is something else that makes this even more special. Something beyond football. Garrett Bradbury and Bears guard Joe Thuney were teammates at NC State during their college years, and not just teammates, they were roommates on road trips for away games. That, folks, that is real chemistry. When you have 2 players who already know each other like that, who already understand how the other communicates, the offensive line just works more naturally. I am telling you, that connection between Bradbury and Thuney could be the foundation of a dominant offensive line in Chicago for the next few years. And let us talk about the financial side, because in the modern NFL, the salary cap is just as important as the players themselves. Bradbury's cap hit for the 2026 season is $6.9 million. $6.9 million. Any center the Bears might have tried to sign in free agency would have cost at least double that. Raven center Tyler Linderbaum was projected to get close to $20 million per year on the open market. The Chargers already moved quickly and signed Tyler Biadasz to take that player off the market before the Bears could make a move. But Ryan Poles did not need the free agent market because there was already a plan B lined up that turned out to be better than plan A in a lot of ways. While the Green Bay Packers keep rolling with their rebuilt offensive line and the Vikings try to reorganize after this week's moves, the Bears are making smart decisions that are going to give Caleb Williams time to read defenses, make the right reads, and grow into the elite quarterback every Bears fan knows that player can become. You have to understand the full context of this move. The Bears also released linebacker Tremaine Edmonds this week, and along with the DJ Moore trade to Buffalo and Dalman being placed on the reserve retired list, that is going to clear about $25 million in additional cap space for the team, and that money is going to be used to make more moves. I do not think Ryan Poles is done. Not even close. The Bradbury move frees the Bears to hit free agency with the money they would have burned on an expensive center and instead use it to bolster the pass rush to look for that left tackle they desperately need while Ozzie Trapillo recovers from a torn patellar tendon that is expected to keep that player out until almost November. The organization is playing chess while other teams are playing checkers, and I am telling you, that gives me confidence, a lot of confidence. Da Bears, this is navy and orange, baby. Transition, but if that surprised you, wait until you hear what is coming next, because there is another trade floating out there that could completely change the look of the Bears' offensive line, even if it is not exactly in the way everyone might expect. Second story, Dion Dawkins. Chicago is not done, and here's the question every Bears fan on the south side and the north side is asking tonight. Should Ryan Poles hit the trade market for a 5-time Pro Bowl left tackle who might be available from the Buffalo Bills? The same team the Bears just sent DJ Moore to? Let me ask you this straight up. When you hear the name Dion Dawkins, what comes to mind? I think most fans picture one of those towers on Buffalo's offensive line. A left tackle who, for years, was considered one of the best blindside protectors in the NFL, 5 Pro Bowl nods, a player who understands offensive line play as well as almost anyone in the league. Bleacher Report, through analyst Brad Gagnon, has linked the Chicago Bears as a top destination for Dawkins if Buffalo decides to move on. And here's the part that makes me nervous, because I am not going to lie to you. When I see that name tied to the Bears, my reaction is not pure excitement. My reaction is calculated caution, and I am going to spell out exactly why. Dawkins is 31 years old, and in the world of NFL offensive tackles, 31 years old with that level of physical wear and tear is an age you have to take very seriously. Gagnon was honest in the analysis and pointed out that the veteran showed signs of decline during the 2025 season. In particular, Dawkins allowed a career-high 42 pressures that year, and the Pro Football Focus pass protection efficiency grade was the worst of that player's entire career. Now, I do not want to be unfair to Dawkins because the full numbers still show a pass blocking grade of 81.5 last season and an overall PFF grade of 73.9, which is still respectable. This is not a finished player, but there is a huge elephant in the room, and I am going to say it straight. Dion Dawkins' cap hit for the 2026 season is $24.4 million. $24.4 million, and that contract jumps to $25 million in 2027. Now let us put that in perspective so Bears fans understand exactly what we are talking about. Right now, the Bears are $11 million over the salary cap. According to Spotrac's research, $11 million over the cap. That means Ryan Poles is already in financial emergency mode before making any meaningful moves in free agency. Taking on the Dawkins contract with that cap hit would be a brutal blow to the team's ability to upgrade other pressing positions. So I am asking you, is Dion Dawkins worth $24.4 million at this stage of the career for a team that is already struggling with its cap space? I do not think so, and here's something else. The Bears' recent history with big-name, declining veterans has not exactly been glorious. Grady Jarrett was signed last offseason as that big-name veteran defensive tackle, and it did not work out the way people hoped. The team cannot make the same mistake on the offensive line, but I want to be fair to both sides of the argument because this is a real debate that deserves deep analysis. Left tackle is the most critical position on the offensive line when it comes to protecting a left-handed quarterback's blindside. And Caleb Williams throws with the left hand, which makes the right tackle spot that quarterback's blindside when that player opens up to read the field. Protecting that edge is absolutely essential for Williams' development. Ozzie Trapillo was the player expected to protect that edge, but a torn patellar tendon is going to keep that player off the field until almost November of 2026. That is basically the entire regular season. The Bears need an answer at that position, and they need it now. On the free agent market, there are options like Cam Robinson and former Lions left tackle Taylor Decker, who could be cheaper one-year solutions while the organization figures out whether Trapilo is the long-term answer. I think the Bears should avoid trading for Dawkins unless Buffalo is willing to do a significant restructuring of that contract to make the move viable from a salary cap standpoint. Without that restructuring, the move simply does not make financial sense for an organization that is already over the limit. While the Detroit Lions keep building their offensive line organically and the Vikings try to reorganize with their own moves, the Bears have a chance to be creative and efficient instead of big and expensive. Ryan Poles has already shown that smart moves are on the table, and I trust that the right decision will be made here. Day Bears, Chicago does not play around when it comes to protecting Caleb Williams, transition, and just when you thought we were done with the offensive line, we have to talk about something just as urgent but on the other side of the ball. Because if the offensive line has a problem, the Bears' interior defensive line right now is almost a crisis of historic proportions. Third story, Jonathan Allen, Koiris Tonga, 2 defensive tackles. Only 2 defensive tackles on the Chicago Bears roster right now. I need you to sit with that for a second. Only 2 defensive tackles. The city that was home to the monsters of the Midway, the team that has the most famous defense in NFL history in its DNA. The 85 Bears, that team has 2 defensive tackles on the depth chart while the free agency clock keeps ticking. That Chi-Town is not acceptable. And I am saying this straight to Ryan Poles and the front office. This has to be handled now. Right now, there are 2 names floating around among analysts and insiders as possible solutions for that massive hole on the interior defensive line. And these are 2 very different names with very different situations, and I am going to give you my honest opinion on each one. The first name is Jonathan Allen, a former first-round draft pick who spent the first 8 years of the career with the Washington Redskins and Commanders, where that player became one of the most productive defensive tackles in the conference. 2 Pro Bowls in 2021 and 2022 at that peak, a disruptive presence at the line of scrimmage who made life miserable for opposing centers and guards. Last year, Allen signed a 3-year, $51 million contract with the Minnesota Vikings. That is the same team that is now cutting that player due to salary cap issues and production that did not justify that massive deal. And here's the part that has Bears insiders like Ben Devine talking on social media and Brad Biggs from the Chicago Tribune asking questions on local radio if Allen is available in free agency. Should the Bears take a look? Here's where I stand, and I am saying this with conviction. I am skeptical about Jonathan Allen for the Chicago Bears, and I am going to tell you exactly why. The Bears already had this same scenario last offseason with Grady Jarrett. Jarrett was a veteran defensive tackle with a big name and a respected track record who was cut and then signed by Chicago to fix the position, and that move did not work as expected. Now we are seeing the same pattern with Jonathan Allen, and I have to ask, when do we learn the lesson? Allen is 30 years old, and the decline is not speculation. It is in the stats. In the last 8 games of the 2025 season with Minnesota, even after adjusting for Brian Flores' blitz-heavy scheme that naturally cuts into the statistical impact of interior tackles as pass rushers, Allen finished with only 1 sack and 11 pressures. The year before in Washington, that player missed 9 games with a partially torn pec. This body is sending signals, and we have to listen. Brad Biggs from the Chicago Tribune was honest in the evaluation when that analyst said on the Mully and Hoff show on 104.3, The Score, does Jonathan Allen solve your situation deep into the future? No. Is that player a good pro? Yes. And that is exactly the problem. Right now, the Bears do not just need a good pro for a single season. They need a real solution that builds toward the future. Now we get to the second name, and this is the one that really interests me from a value and market intelligence perspective. The name is Koiris Tonga. And I know what you are thinking. Who is that? Exactly. And that is the beauty of this potential move. Fox Sports, through a joint analysis by Greg Allman, Ben Arthur, Henry McKenna, Eric Williams, and Ralph Vacchiano, published a feature on Friday recommending that the Bears sign Khyiris Tonga in free agency as a smart value move for the organization. According to SpotTrack estimates, Tonga's market value in the 2026 free agency class is roughly $3.1 million per year. $3.1 million for an organization that is $11 million over the salary cap. That is exactly the kind of financial efficiency you need. But who is Khyiris Tonga, and why should the Bears seriously consider this player? Tonga played the 2025 season with the New England Patriots, the same team the Bears just acquired Garrett Bradbury from, and according to the Fox Sports analysis, the Patriots tapped into a version of this player that very few people actually knew. They described Tonga as a massive interior disruptor, someone who can create chaos at the line of scrimmage with size and athleticism, and most importantly, this comes at a relative discount compared with how well that player performed last year. So I am asking you, what makes more sense for the Bears right now? Spending money the team does not have on Jonathan Allen, a veteran who has already shown serious signs of physical decline and has already shown that this is not a long-term solution? Or making a smart strategic move by bringing in Tonga at $3.1 million while using the rest of the available cap space to reinforce the pass rush and fill the tackle spot? I think the answer is obvious. And I think Ryan Poles knows it too. The 85 Bears built a legendary defense, not just with big names, but with the right mix of players in the right roles. Walter Payton did not carry the team alone. Mike Ditka did not build that defense alone. It was teamwork, smart roster construction, making every dollar in the budget count. The Bears allowed 134.5 rushing yards per game during the 2025 season, which ranked 27th in the NFL, and they gave up 5.3 yards per carry, which ranked 30th in the entire league. That is unacceptable for an organization with the defensive tradition of the Chicago Bears. The Urlachers, the Peppers, the Hicks of team history, all those names are looking down, expecting the defense to get back to what it once was. Tonga is not going to fix all those problems alone, but together with other smart moves, this player can be an important piece of a defensive puzzle that is starting to take shape. And at $3.1 million, the risk is minimal and the upside is huge. Chicago cannot keep repeating the same mistakes. This organization has Caleb Williams, has offensive talent, has head coach Ben Johnson, who proved last year that this team can win the NFC North, but without a defense that can stop opponents' ground games, that potential is going to go unrealized. You have to build smart. You have to build with vision. And I am telling you this from the deepest part of my love for this organization. Navy and Orange fans deserve to see the Bears compete for the Super Bowl. Not just in the postseason, but in the biggest game of all, that working city on the south side and the north side, those people who go to Soldier Field in that Chicago cold that cuts through your bones. Those people deserve a championship, and I think with the right decisions this offseason, the Bears are closer to that dream than they have been in many years. Da Bears, Navy and Orange, baby. Look, I need you to tell me something in the comments right now because these stories are blowing up, and I want to know exactly what real Bears fans are thinking. First direct question, is Garrett Bradbury, the center Caleb Williams, needs to make that jump to the next level? Or do you think Ryan Poles should have gone after a more expensive option in free agency? Write it in the comments. Bradbury is enough or Bradbury is not enough. I want to read your takes. Second question, Dion Dawkins in Chicago, yes or no? Five-time Pro Bowler, experienced left tackle, but with a cap hit of $24.4 million for an organization that is already over the limit. Is that a risk worth taking or a financial trap that could blow up Ryan Poles' 2026 plans? Let me know down below. And the third one, the one I care about the most, Jonathan Allen or Khyiris Tonga to reinforce the interior defensive line, a big-name player with signs of physical decline, or a hidden gem at a discount price who could be the smartest move of the offseason? This decision says a lot about Ryan Poles' roster-building philosophy. Tell me in the comments who you prefer and why. Now listen closely because this matters. This channel exists because you are the most passionate, the smartest, and the realest Bears fan community on all of Spanish language YouTube. Every time you ask a question, every time you debate in the comments, every time you share a video with another Navy and Orange fan, you are building something that goes beyond football. We are building a family, a Da Bears family that has each other's backs, that debates, that celebrates, and that suffers together. If you are not subscribed to this channel yet, this is the time. Hit the subscribe button right now. Turn on the bell so you do not miss any Chicago Bears news, because I guarantee you that in the next few days, we are going to have explosive information about Ryan Poles' free agency moves, and you are going to want to be the first to know. Hit like on this video if you think Ryan Poles is making the right decisions to take the Bears to the Super Bowl, and if you have doubts about the direction the organization is taking, hit like anyway, because the debate is what makes this community great. Bear down, Chicago. Da Bears. See you in the next video, family. Take good care of yourselves.